Hey guys, this is my review for Need For Speed Undercover. So in this game you play as a police officer who's undercover trying to bust some racing rings and basically just take them to prison. So the main races in this game are just like sprints and circuits for quite a while. Then they bring in a couple other rounds like highway battles where you just try to get a certain distance away from the other person you're racing. And then there's also out chasing or outlasting people, where you just have to try and stay in front of another player for a certain amount of time, which is pretty much the same as highway battle. Um, but instead of like a distance, it's just a timer. Then you've got checkpoint races, where you go through checkpoints and it increases your timer, which is pretty much the same as sprinting, but instead of versing cars, you're just on a clock. So there's not that many like races, I guess. Mostly it's just standard races. When it comes to cops and that, they don't really show up in your races. I think there was only like 4 races where the cops actually showed up inside of them. Most of the time, if you want to race cops or do like the cop styled race sort of thing, then you'd have to actually select that type of race. So for the cops, there's takedowns where you just have to kill a certain amount of police cars, then get away from the cops. Otherwise, there is damage to state, where you just have to cause damage by either hitting like civilian cars, killing police cars, damaging property. And you slowly build up a certain amount of money that you owe, and then you just escape the cops. And then there's running away from the cops, where basically you just start off being chased by cops and then you run away. So I don't think you get the cop missions too early in the game. It's actually maybe like 2 hours into it before you actually start getting them, which was kind of disappointing because I quite like the cop type races where you're fighting them off sort of thing. But oh well. This game is open world, but I wouldn't say it's very good open world compared to most Need for Speed games. It's basically 3 cities. One of them is quite small, one of them's medium, and one of them's large. And then they're connected by like this excessively big highway system, which is super boring. And the cities aren't even exciting. They're very like set paths. There's not many areas that you can drive off or like alleyways you could just randomly go down. Mostly it's all just very set. And then most of the stuff that you could drive off the main road is quite obviously like shown on your mini-map, so it's not like you're exploring or finding any secret area. And most of the races are set inside the free cities that they have, so basically you're just constantly racing around the same areas. Most of the races, it's basically the exact same track, except at one point they'll make you take like an extra right turn or something, or maybe the race doesn't go for quite as long. So they're not like super unique races. For the cars, there's maybe 20 to 40-ish cars through 4 tiers. So you start off in tier 4, and then near the end of the game you get tier 1. Basically most of the cars are in I'd say tier 3 and 4. Tier 2 you've maybe got like 8 cars, and then tier 1 you've probably got about 6 cars or so. So you don't actually really need to buy cars in this game, to be honest, because you get pink slips from doing the main storyline. And you get a really good car for you can select a really good car for your tier 4 and your tier 3 and your tier 2. You don't ever get a free car for tier 1, so you have to buy one if you want it, but you don't really need to, because the tier 2 cars are pretty much all you'd ever need is if you like fully upgraded it with parts. And saying that though, the parts for the game are absolutely stupid. They just have like you could select nitrous or something, and then it would say, do you want to buy the racing edition or the pro edition of this item? There's no, like in normal Need for Speed games, they have like different brands and you can see what it would look like on your car, and you can like see all the statistics. So I thought it was kind of stupid that they just gave you like this overall option rather than the customizability that is usually in most Need for Speed games. And saying that, there was also a lot of lacking in racing variety. The storyline to this game is really weak. I absolutely hated the cutscenes. I thought they were super boring. They were pretty much just close-ups of like people's lips or their legs or their boobs. Just pretty much just close-ups on their body while trying to like over-sexualize them. Like weird tanning sort of stuff. Um, I don't know what the point of the cutscenes were really. They didn't explain much in the storyline. Usually it was just them talking on like a cell phone to you. You don't really ever see your character or have him like speak. It's pretty much just other people speaking to you, and then it's like a one-sided conversation sort of thing. Otherwise, the storyline is basically you're just taking orders from some person, and you unlock like new missions based on your wheelman level. So the wheelman level, you get reputation points for every race you do based on like how well you race and how much damage you do and how much non-damage you do, because pretty much it all just adds up to the same stuff. And then those reputation points get put into an overall thing, which basically levels up over time, and it increases your player statistics, which is like increases your speed of your car based on your player level or whatever. And then each race you get an extra little bit into your player statistical like thingy that they've got going, which I don't know. I didn't see the point in it. I don't like that sort of thing. I prefer just to stick to the cars, but oh well. I mean, it's an interesting thing to have added to the game for sure. But otherwise, you're basically the wheelman rep. By the time you get to like, I think wheelman 14, about halfway through that, you've unlocked all the main storyline missions, and then the maximum level for your wheelman is 18. So it's not like a huge lot. I think when I finished the game I was about 16, which was wheelman level 16 from the main storyline. But there's still other like races you could do after you finish the main storyline. But I mean, it takes roughly, this game takes about 8 hours to finish for the whole main storyline, and then you can go off and do heaps of other missions as well if you really wanted to. But they're not that exciting since they get like really repetitive. Also, the decals for your cars, there's not much customizability. Pretty much they've got like set places where you can place like vinyls, whereas I remember in like Underground, which was way before this game, you could like select the exact position sort of thing, and you could change the colors of it. Whereas in this one, it basically, it seemed like they'd taken aspects of other Need for Speed games and then just like halved how far they'd gone to try and make this like game, which it just came off really cheap compared to the series. Probably if this wasn't a Need for Speed game, I would probably like give it a better rating sort of thing, like think of it in a better light. But since it is a Need for Speed game, they've got like a whole chain of games, and when you're judging it based on like the Need for Speedness, I would say it's pretty dumb. Like, it's not worth playing, to be honest, because I mean, no, if you're looking for like a game that has cops and stuff, I would suggest like Most Wanted Black Edition for Need for Speed, because I thought they did it a lot better, especially the cops. And this one, there's no real like, you drive around the city, you run into a cop, they chase you sort of thing. It's not really like that. It's more like cops are chasing you, suddenly the FBI shows up because your wheelman rep is like 14. Even though your car's never been chased by a cop before, the FBI just suddenly got interested and sends like these big boss-ass jeeps and helicopters at you, and they just chase you excessively, and then like 30 seconds into your getting chased by a cop, they're dropping down spike strips and stuff. Whereas in like Most Wanted, it would be that you'd build up your levels. So let's say you've been like chasing for a minute and you've killed 2 cop cars, suddenly it's more like realistic that they'd send more different types of cops. They send tank cops, they start calling in helicopters because you're killing more people. Whereas in this game it's just constantly like, oh, you're getting chased by the cops and you're like level 15, or you've been playing the game for like 6 hours, we'll just send a bunch of hard guys at you for no reason sort of thing, even though you're in a completely different car and technically we wouldn't know that you were in that car, but still. Otherwise, the maps are pretty smooth, game runs pretty smooth. You can't really like glide around corners that easily if you're one of those people who in like Underground like to just drive on the barriers around corners, so you got like that drifting sort of thing. You don't do that in this game. If you try to drive around a corner too fast, your car basically just flips over or comes to a complete stop, which was ridiculous. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, it's a pretty average game. Storyline kind of sucked. Gameplay kind of sucked compared to most Need For Speed games. So I wouldn't recommend it if you're into Need For Speed. Like, this one's kind of crap. But as a game on its own, it's average at best. So I'd probably only give it a 4 out of 10, because I wouldn't want to replay it again. I was kind of hating playing it based on that there's like no real direction in the game. You're just casually racing, getting some random main mission, and then racing some more, and they're just repetitive races set in the same sort of areas. Not that exciting. Cars are not exciting. Not that much fun upgrading your cars in this one, which was like something that I really enjoyed in the Underground, was like the whole customizability. You got money, you can put like heaps and heaps of parts on. Like, I'd blow most of my money just buying like decals for my cars to make them look cool. In this one it's more just, oh, you want to upgrade your performance, just press this button, and then you click it, and then it's like, okay, done, goodbye, sort of thing. So I think it just ruined it a lot that they didn't go full out like they usually do in most Need For Speed games. This is just real cheap. Like, we sort of want money to buy this game if you like the series, sort of thing. It's just, it was really disappointing, so I'm just going to give it a 4 out of 10. This is just my opinion of the game. If you agree with it or don't agree with it, make sure to drop what you think of the game in the comments below this video. Otherwise, I'm only going to give it a 4 out of 10. Okay guys, see ya.